Welcome to AP Week for our first day of AP Week, presented by Bruin to Bruin. And then today we're going to go over our AP Math class offerings at Branham, which is Calc AB, BC, and AP Statistics. Our speakers, so today, first day. Our speakers are me for AB, Aru for BC, and then Kevin Shim for Statistics. And we're going to get started with AB. We're also going to answer some pre-made questions for the audience and stuff like that. So the AB exam is basically a split half and half between MCQ and FRQ, which is for people who are new to APs is multiple choice questions and free response questions. And it's kind of split between no calculator and calculator. And throughout the year, it's also kind of split into half. You have derivatives and application of derivatives in the first half of the year, and then you have integrals, and then things like areas under curves, volumes, and then in the later half of the year. And your teacher will probably put a bigger emphasis on making practical applications of both the derivative and the integral. And there are also theorems that you will get to know, which includes like the fundamental theorems of calculus. There's the theorems that you need for analyzing graphs, so like velocity or acceleration or time graphs. And there are other small nitpicky things, but those are basically derivatives and integrals are basically the big pictures of what you're going to go through in AB. For what I recommend for studying is basically what your teacher gives you. There's also Khan Academy resources, and I found that Crack AP, which is a website where they offer free practice tests, is really helpful. And if you do have a Princeton or Barron's textbook, those will normally work pretty well. However, if you were going to do the practice tests and you want a realistic, I guess, expectation of what you're going to actually face during the real exam, I would stick with the past exams by College Board, because those are the closest to what you're going to get on the real exam. Sometimes Princeton's and Barron's the wording can be a little weird, or they can make it more like a creative thinking question than an actual like straight up answer the question, mark the right answer kind of thing. So yeah, I would recommend more towards the official resources. And then a big question that a lot of people ask is, will I be prepared for Calc AB if I took IM3 or IM4? And it's a bit complicated, but calculus is quite a big jump from the IMs, anything you're going to experience in the IMs, especially because you don't get the introduction of a derivative or an integral until you get into Calc AB. So it's however, of course, it's good to have like that kind of basic algebra foundation from IM3 and IM4, such as like the unit circle or the basically like polynomials, or maybe it's like simplification, stuff like that. Basic skills that you are going to use in Calc AB. However, the main ideas of Calc AB are going to be fairly new if you're just going into it like without prepping at all. And that's also why I recommend you do some work before your class starts. There is a summer homework packet for Calc AB for Branham students. However, I'm pretty sure it's just pre-calc in that packet. It's not like they're not teaching you any calculus concepts in the summer packet. So I would really, really encourage people to either look through the YouTube AP Calculus AB, like Verge and Mark. And then I'd also look through Khan Academy if you can. And there's something called flipped math, which is what some people use during the school year, but you can watch a couple videos, get yourself comfortable with all the topics before you get into it. And I feel like that would really help you out. Okay.
All right, so I will be taking over for this one. So for the BC exam, the overview is one, it builds upon the AB knowledge. The reason being that AB and BC are two halves to one whole calc course. And obviously in high school, you can't cover everything in one year, so hence it is split. So you will find a lot of familiar topics in the first semester, such as limits, derivatives, other forms of differentiation, and optimization. And application, which is, similar to world kind of problems where you would apply this kind of calculus. And then in the second semester is where you get more new types of math, where you have several other forms of integration, parametric questions, polar coordinates, vectors, infinite sequences, and series. And in terms of the exam in itself, you'll find that the second portion it has a heavier weight on the grading. Like you'll find more questions related to the integration and so on and so forth in comparison to the limits and derivatives, because at that point it's considered like your basics. So you will definitely need to know all that stuff, but it's not like questions solely dedicated towards that. So in terms of the format, we have the multiple choice questions, which is divided between 30 no calculator and 15 calculator. Uh, 30, I believe, is 60 minutes, and then the 15 is the 45 minutes. And then we have the free response question, which is two long calculator-based questions, which is 30 minutes, so 15 minutes each. And then the four short no calculator, which is 60 minutes, so you have 15 minutes for each. Keep in mind that for the FRQs, you are allowed to go back to the long ones, but you're not allowed a calculator once you enter the short FRQ section. So make sure to like pace yourself when it comes to timing. Good to go. So how would I recommend studying? So unlike other math classes where you take around, 2 to 3 weeks to solidify a concept, you pretty much learn a concept every single class. And so you don't get enough practice in during the classes. So it's like imperative that you study outside of it, you practice before learning, whatever new concept comes up. Because like it might not feel like it in the first semester since it's primarily review and you're like, oh, I got this. But in the second semester, it kind of hits you like, oh wow, there's like some stuff that I didn't get in class and I really need to, review and clear out those confusions. So really just practice those problems. You don't have to do it maybe like every single day, but at least over the weekends, go over like different resources. Like Stella said, Khan Academy or the Princeton and Barron's book. They may not reflect accurately like the test questions, but they're still, good in clarifying concepts. They have answers to those questions. So if you didn't understand while practicing, at least you can like understand how they did it, see the strategy and learn the strategy. So yeah, I would say practice is your best friend when it comes to studying. Uh, let's see what else. Do it with timing. You might get a problem after working at it for an hour or two, but you won't get that kind of time, obviously. So work with a timer. It might be a little anxiety inducing at first, but as the time passes, you get desensitized. So really don't worry about that. And yeah, that's pretty much what I got for studying. Okay, most difficult part of Calc BC, like I touched on before, it kind of comes all at you and you're trying to process the lessons from the past. Um, I would say also maybe for me it was kind of the workload. You will be given lots of packets because the teachers also understand that this is something that needs to be solidified after doing it over and over and over again. And you might think that like, okay, I already know it after doing 5 problems, but within a few days, within a few weeks, you might not be able to remember that. So instead of doing 1 page, sometimes you have to do 8 pages in order for it to really stick. So I would suggest having good time management and organization. That way, the workload from other classes doesn't impede on the workload that you get in this class. Because it's not really effective if you're staying up till 1 or 2 a.m. trying to finish this packet just for the sake of it. Because ultimately, you are preparing for the exam. This class is geared towards the exam, and you want to do well on it, right? So just not doing so well in the homework and just getting it done for a completion grade doesn't help you in the long run. So yeah.
And then after this is going to be stats, but Kevin isn't here, so we're just gonna, something I wanted to add to the whole practice thing is that, or like geared towards the exam, is especially with those, the what I previously recommended, the YouTube AP playlists, a lot of those are really only like focusing in on the topics that you need to know for the exam. So if if what you know or what you don't know is like maybe it's like an optimization problem, or maybe it's like a specific series type problem in Calc BC, it's um it's really more important for you to maybe take a step back before you look at all those review videos or do all those packets, and like really go back onto the fundamentals before you try and like overload yourself with review, because it's sometimes looking at the review may seem like, oh, I got the general idea of it, but if you like in an exam setting, if you don't truly understand what's going on with that question, you're probably not going to get it right. So I would just really like, if you feel like you're falling behind in class or anything like that, I would just take a step back, make sure I know like the details before I go into before I go into like review or any of the other packets. Um, okay, so there is something here. No summer assignment for the AP calculus classes. Really? Last year they did. Darn. Okay. Should I begin learning or reviewing with Khan Academy? Uh, I would say, Lisa, you said you're going into AB. Okay, so I would say if you like were really comfortable with I don't know where you came from, IM3 or IM3 STEM or 4, I don't know. But if you were super comfortable with that, you breezed through it, it was fine, you understood like everything, then I would say I think you're good. If you want to get a head start on calc, then yes, I would go through Khan Academy. Um, because like I said, the summer assignment for going into Calc AB was basically just pre-calculus, which is IM 4, I believe. Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
give a little input on that as well?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so from what I remember when I did the summer homework for AB was that definitely you need to know your unit circle. That is something that will appear like back in calculus because you'll learn how to take derivatives of trigonomet. I always have a trouble pronouncing this, trigonometric functions. You will like definitely see those again, and then like different properties. For example, properties of like natural log functions, stuff like that. A lot of algebra. I can pronounce that too, algebra. But it's not like really like tough summer homework. It's more just a review of what you've learned. If you think that you didn't breeze through, I would just say, just practice a little maybe over the summer. That way it's a little easier. Uh, I don't know which teachers are teaching AP Calc AB this year, but if Mr. V happens to be the one that's teaching this year, he's usually like sends in the summer homework either by email or he does update it later on the Branham website. So just make sure to keep checking. Maybe he's running a little late, which happens to all teachers. So, just check. Or if you really want to like get that assignment, I'm sure you can just email him and he'll, provide you with something. Same goes with Miss Brady. She does a lot of packets and has like all these YouTube videos that she suggested me when I was struggling. So I think that could also work in your favor as well.
And just to kind of reiterate what I said in the chat for Lisa, because I don't know if it recorded that, is if you didn't like if you kind of struggled in the IM3 or IM4 and you still want to get prepared for calc, then I would, and then your like main resource is Khan Academy, I would go back to pre-calc, and then I would go back to trigonometry in Khan Academy before I went to Calc AB, especially, yeah, going back to what Ari said about unit circles and stuff like that. Let's see.
Yeah, so for the AP Stats exam, it's got a few portions. The main one to start off is probability, where it's gonna be asking you questions kind of talking about like proportions and how likely is this event to happen if this event happens, and that's a big part of the test. As well as exploring and interpreting data in context, which just means taking a certain, whether it's like a statistic or something, some piece of data. If 50% of people do this, what does that mean in the context of the situation is what it's asking. And so being able to kind of mix the idea of what's going on numerically and statistically with like the actual situation that they give you. Um, as well as the next one would be measures of central tendency and describing data, which is just where you're able to just be able to speak about, like if you get a graph of some sort of data, you can kind of talk about, okay, so it's got a left skew and there's two outliers, and that's pretty much what it's asking for, and you should know how to do that. Um, and then the data collection methods, meaning things like random samples and stratified random samples and all these different ones. And a lot of these we kind of you learn in different classes too. If you take AP Psych, you pick up on different ones of these, and some of them are just like common sense and stuff that we've learned throughout the years, whether in like elementary, middle school, and like early high school as well. Um, and so yeah, a lot of this is kind of self-explanatory. Some of it you have to learn. The next one would be confidence intervals, where um, it's kind of similar to probability, where you kind of just get a situation where it asks for, if you're given a 90% confidence interval, how do you find that, or how do you find the interval that you'd be 90% confident for a certain situation. And so there's kind of, it gives you different situations. You kind of have to know the calculator functions, what to do, which equation to use it. um, but yeah, overall not too complicated. And then for the actual test itself, the MCQ has 40 questions, and those are all with the calculator. And then the FRQ is six questions, six FRQ with one investigative task. And the investigative task is just it's a bit more of a question that you kind of have to use what you've learned in the past in stats to figure it out. And it's not as much of like a straightforward question where you can kind of just put something into the calculator and just get the answer. It's more of where you have to take your previous learning and like really apply it. But to be honest, like if you pay attention in class, or if you just kind of have the basic ideas of what's going on, you should be able to figure it out for the most part. Um, in order to study, it's going to be important that, well, first off, like pay attention in class. That's like, I think the main thing. If you pay attention in class, you'll, for the most part, as long as you pick up on just what's going on over the units, you probably should be able to, well, you'll do a lot better than if you don't. And on top of that, if you do pay attention in class, when you're actually taking the test, a lot of things um, you'll remember. And when you're studying for the test, you can kind of things will pick up a lot quicker just because you've learned it already. But in terms of like, I guess, like actual studying, AP classroom videos are fantastic. They give you a lot of the questions from this year's, at least, were very similar to the AP classroom daily videos and the review videos. And yeah, there's AP classroom, and then there's Khan Academy, which is also just very useful. It's got all the different info and pretty much anything you'd need for that. um, and yeah, just also, yeah, going over notes, going over classwork, going over homework. um, and if you obviously, like, if you can also take like the practice tests on AP classroom, those are useful as well. um, but yeah, a lot of the questions, they're kind of just grouped, and most of them are fairly straightforward. There's nothing that's like it's pretty separate to calc. And so it's not where it's a lot of conceptual stuff. A lot of it is a bit more straightforward. um, and so yeah, studying isn't too complicated. Just go over your stuff, go over your classwork. AP classroom should be fine. You absolutely do not need to know calculus to take AP statistics. I think calc is definitely calc, like, conceptually, is a million times harder to grasp than AP statistics. And also, like, AP statistics, if you were to take the AP test for stats with no prior knowledge to AP statistics, you'd have a lot larger, for most people, you'd have a larger of a chance to pass compared to taking calc without any prior knowledge. Just because um, for calc, if you don't know what a derivative is, you're not gonna there's no way you can kind of just like piece it together. But for stats, a lot of it is stuff that's relying on previous knowledge, like mean and median and mode, and it's stuff that we've kind of learned in math in the past, and stuff we've learned in other classes. And so no, you don't need to take calculus to take AP statistics. They're, to be honest, like very different. And yeah, there's no need for that.
We do not have any extra questions. But since this is going on to YouTube and IGTV on Bruin to Bruin, you guys are free to comment or like send us a Instagram message or maybe some thing you're curious about. And Kevin, do you have a social media handle we can plug right now?
Yeah, just to be honest, like if you have any questions about this, message me on Instagram at Kevin Logan Shim. It's my full name. And yeah, otherwise just message, ask questions, and I'd be happy to answer anything.
Mm-hmm. And this slideshow is going to be in the description, plus more of the links for if you want to be involved in any of the other Bruin to Bruin programs. And then we will also have our over the week, we're going to also have some other AP presentations. So look forward to that. Okay, thank you.
Fantastic.